Success. Have you ever wondered why some people are forgotten within days, while others remain in people's minds for years? It's not because they are richer, more attractive, success, or more talented. There is a deeper psychological reason. In today's speech, you'll discover the hidden habits that make a person unforgettable. Success. And make sure you stay until the end. Success. Because the final lesson is the one most people completely ignore, and it's often the very reason they become forgettable without even realizing it. Success. Have you ever noticed how the people who desperately want to be liked are often the ones who are forgotten the fastest? It sounds unfair, but it happens every day. Success. Many people spend years trying to win everyone's approval. They adjust their personality depending on who they are talking to. Success. They avoid expressing their true opinions because they fear rejection. They say yes when they want to say no. They constantly seek validation. Success. Hoping that if enough people like them, they will finally feel valuable. But there is a hidden cost to living this way. The more you depend on approval from others, success, the more you lose the qualities that make you memorable in the first place. Think about it for a moment. If your main goal is to be liked by everyone, success, you eventually begin shaping yourself around other people's expectations. You become whatever the situation demands. Around one group, you act one way. Success. Around another group, you act differently. Little by little, your identity becomes flexible, not because you are adaptable, but because you are afraid. Success. Afraid of disappointing people, afraid of criticism, afraid of standing out. And when a person constantly changes themselves to gain approval, success, they become difficult to remember because there is nothing unique left to remember. They blend into the background. They become another face in the crowd. Success. The people who leave lasting impressions are usually very different. They understand that respect is more valuable than approval. Approval is temporary. Success. Respect is lasting. Approval depends on pleasing others. Respect comes from staying true to yourself. Approval asks, what do they think of me? Respect asks, success, what do I think of myself? And that difference changes everything. When you stop chasing approval, success, you begin making decisions based on your values instead of other people's opinions. Success. You stop trying to fit into every room and start focusing on becoming the kind of person who belongs wherever they go. Success. Many people believe that seeking approval helps them build relationships. In reality, it often weakens them. Imagine someone who agrees with everything you say. Success. Never challenges your ideas, never expresses a different opinion, and constantly tries to gain your acceptance. At first, they may seem pleasant, but over time, they become predictable. Their behavior feels less genuine because it is driven by the desire to be liked rather than the courage to be authentic. Success. Now imagine someone who treats you with respect but is not afraid to be honest. Someone who has their own standards, beliefs, and boundaries. Success. Someone who values themselves enough not to sacrifice their identity for approval. Success. That person becomes memorable because authenticity always stands out in a world filled with performance. Success. One of the reasons self-respect is so powerful is because it changes the energy you bring into every interaction. When you respect yourself, success, you stop trying to convince people of your worth. You stop chasing attention. You stop explaining yourself to those who have already decided not to understand you. Success. Instead, you carry yourself differently. There is a quiet confidence that comes from knowing who you are. Success. You no longer need constant reassurance because your value is not dependent on external validation. And people notice this. They may not always be able to explain it, success, but they can feel it. Have you ever met someone who seemed completely comfortable being themselves? They weren't arrogant. They weren't trying to impress anyone. Success. They simply carried themselves with a sense of certainty. They spoke honestly. They acted consistently. They did not seem desperate for acceptance. Success. Those are the people who often remain in our memories because authenticity is rare. Most people are performing. Most people are hiding parts of themselves. Success. Most people are seeking approval in one form or another. When someone breaks free from that cycle, they naturally become more memorable. Success. Self-respect also means having boundaries. This is something many people struggle with because they fear disappointing others. Success. They believe saying no will make people dislike them. They believe setting limits will push others away. But the truth is that boundaries are a sign of self-worth. Success. They communicate that your time, energy, and values matter. People may not always like your boundaries, but they often respect them. Success. And respect creates a stronger impression than endless people-pleasing ever could. Success. Consider how much energy is wasted trying to gain approval from people who have no real impact on your life. Strangers on the internet, casual acquaintances. Success. Individuals who do not know your struggles, your goals, or your character. Yet many people allow these opinions to control their decisions. Success. They shape their lives around the fear of judgment. They remain silent when they should speak. They follow paths that do not fulfill them. Success. They abandon dreams because they worry about what others might think. In the process, they lose touch with themselves. The moment you begin building self-respect, success, everything starts to change. You become less concerned with being accepted by everyone and more concerned with living in alignment with your values. Success. You stop measuring your worth by the reactions of others. You stop shrinking yourself to fit into places where you do not belong. Success. You stop treating approval as the ultimate goal. Instead, you focus on becoming someone you can genuinely admire. And when a person develops that level of self-respect, success, they create a presence that people remember because genuine confidence, authenticity, and integrity leave a far deeper impression than approval seeking ever could. Success. If you want people to remember you long after a conversation ends, long after a meeting is over, or even long after years have passed, success. You need to understand one powerful truth about human nature. People may forget your words, but they rarely forget how you made them feel. Success. This is one of the biggest reasons some individuals become unforgettable while others fade from memory almost immediately. Most people focus on information. Success. They focus on facts, achievements, opinions, and details. They spend their time trying to sound intelligent, impressive, or interesting. Success. But human memory does not work the way many people think it does. The strongest memories are usually connected to emotions. When something makes us feel inspired, success, understood, appreciated, motivated, valued, respected, or deeply moved, it creates an impression that lasts far longer than ordinary conversations ever can. Success. Think about someone you still remember from years ago. It might be a teacher, a mentor, a friend, or even a stranger. Chances are, success. You do not remember every sentence they spoke. You probably cannot repeat entire conversations word for word. But you remember how they made you feel. Success. Maybe they believed in you when nobody else did. Maybe they encouraged you during a difficult period in your life. Success. Maybe they listened to you when everyone else ignored you. Maybe they showed kindness at a moment when you needed it most. Success. The emotional experience became attached to your memory, and that emotional connection is what made them unforgettable. Unfortunately, success. Many people move through life without creating any emotional impact on others. Their conversations remain on the surface. They talk about ordinary topics, success, exchange predictable comments, and interact without genuine connection. As a result, nothing stands out, nothing creates a lasting memory. They become another face, success, another voice, another interaction among thousands of others. But memorable people understand that every interaction is an opportunity to leave someone feeling better, success, stronger, more understood, or more inspired than before. One reason emotional impact is so powerful is because people are constantly carrying invisible struggles. Success. Every person you meet is dealing with challenges, fears, doubts, and pressures that you may know nothing about. Some are battling insecurity, success. Some are facing disappointment. Some are carrying emotional pain. Some are questioning their future. Many people feel unseen and unheard. Success. They move through their days surrounded by people, yet still feel alone. When someone genuinely acknowledges them, listens to them, and treats them with respect, success. It creates a powerful emotional experience. That experience often becomes unforgettable because it fulfills a need that many people rarely experience. Success. Creating emotional impact does not require dramatic gestures or extraordinary circumstances. Sometimes it comes from simple actions performed with sincerity. Success. A genuine compliment can stay with someone for years. A moment of encouragement can change the direction of a person's life. Success. A few words of belief can help someone continue when they are ready to give up. These moments may seem small to the person giving them, success, but they can become life-changing to the person receiving them. This is why memorable people focus less on impressing others and more on positively affecting them. Success. There is also a difference between seeking attention and creating impact. Many people confuse the two. Attention is temporary. Success. You can gain attention through loud behavior, controversy, or constant self-promotion. But attention fades quickly. Emotional impact is different. Emotional impact stays. Success. It becomes part of someone's memory because it touches something deeper than curiosity or entertainment. It reaches emotions, values, and personal experiences. Success. While attention attracts eyes, emotional impact touches hearts. Another important aspect of creating emotional impact is being present. In today's world, success. Genuine presence has become increasingly rare. People are often distracted by phones, notifications, responsibilities, and endless thoughts about the future. Success. Even during conversations, many individuals are not fully listening. They are waiting for their turn to speak. They are thinking about something else. Success. They are physically present but mentally absent, When you give someone your complete attention, it creates a powerful experience because it communicates value, success. It tells the other person, you matter right now. Few gifts are more meaningful than making someone feel genuinely seen. Success. Stories also play a significant role in emotional impact. Human beings naturally connect with stories because stories create emotion. Facts inform the mind, success. But stories engage the heart. This is why people often remember personal experiences, lessons, struggles, and victories long after they forget statistics or arguments. Success. Memorable people know how to connect through authenticity. They share experiences that inspire, teach, and encourage. Success. They create emotional resonance because they allow others to see parts of themselves reflected in the story. Perhaps most importantly, success. Emotional impact comes from authenticity. People are surprisingly good at sensing when someone is genuine and when someone is performing. Authenticity creates trust. Success. It creates connection. It creates emotional depth. When your words, actions, and intentions align, people feel it. They recognize sincerity. Success, and sincerity leaves a stronger impression than perfection ever could. Success. The individuals who remain in people's minds are rarely those who spent all their energy trying to look important. Success. They are often the people who made others feel important. They are the ones who offered encouragement when it was needed most. They are the ones who inspired confidence, success, created hope, showed kindness, and brought positive energy into the lives of others. Long after achievements fade and conversations are forgotten, success. Those emotional experiences continue living in memory because emotions have a way of attaching themselves to the heart. Success, and what touches the heart is often remembered far longer than what merely passes through the mind. Success. One of the fastest ways to become unforgettable is surprisingly simple, yet very few people truly master it. In a world where everyone wants to be heard, success. Become the person who genuinely listens. Most people enter conversations with one goal in mind: they want to talk. They want to share their opinions, tell their stories, success, express their ideas, and explain their experiences. Even when someone else is speaking, many people are not actually listening. Success. They are simply waiting for their turn to respond. They are thinking about what they want to say next instead of focusing on what is being said right now. Success. This habit has become so common that genuine listening has become rare. And whenever something becomes rare, it becomes valuable. Success. Think about the people you enjoy talking to the most. Often, they are not necessarily the most intelligent, the funniest, or the most successful individuals you know. Success. More often than not, they are the people who make you feel heard. They make you feel understood. When you speak, they pay attention. Success. They are not constantly checking their phones. They are not interrupting every few seconds. They are not trying to turn the conversation back to themselves. Instead, success. They give you something that has become increasingly difficult to find in today's world: their full attention. Human beings have a deep desire to feel understood, success. Everyone wants to feel that their thoughts matter, their emotions matter, and their experiences matter. Yet many people go through life feeling invisible. They speak, success, but nobody truly listens. They share their struggles, but others are too distracted to understand them. They express their dreams, but people quickly change the subject. Success. Because of this, when someone finally encounters a person who genuinely listens, the experience becomes memorable. Success. It stands out from the countless shallow interactions they have every day. One reason listening is so powerful is because it creates emotional connection. Success. Most people try to build connections by talking about themselves. They believe that sharing more information will make people like them. While sharing can be important, success, connection is often created through understanding rather than self-expression. When someone feels understood, they feel valued. And when people feel valued, success, they remember the person who made them feel that way. Consider how many conversations become competitions without anyone realizing it. One person tells a story, success, and the other immediately responds with a bigger story. Someone shares a challenge, and the other person quickly shifts the focus to their own experience. Success. Instead of creating understanding, both individuals are competing for attention. As a result, neither person truly feels heard. Success. The conversation becomes an exchange of words rather than an exchange of understanding. Great listeners avoid this trap. They are not trying to win the conversation. Success. They are trying to understand the person in front of them. Listening also reveals something important about confidence. Success. Insecure people often feel the need to prove themselves constantly. They dominate conversations because they want recognition. Success. They seek attention because they want validation. But confident people understand that they do not need to be the center of attention all the time. Success. They are comfortable allowing others to speak. They are comfortable asking questions. They are comfortable learning instead of performing. Success. This quiet confidence makes them more attractive, more respected, and far more memorable. There is another reason great listeners leave such a lasting impression. Success. They learn things that others miss. While everyone else is focused on being heard, listeners are gathering information. They notice emotions hidden behind words. Success. They recognize fears, motivations, hopes, and concerns. They understand people on a deeper level because they pay attention to details that others overlook. Success. This ability allows them to build stronger relationships because people naturally trust those who make an effort to understand them. Success. Many people underestimate how powerful a simple question can be. When you ask thoughtful questions and genuinely care about the answers, success. You create an environment where people feel important. You show curiosity about their experiences instead of trying to impress them with your own. Success. This changes the entire dynamic of the interaction. Instead of competing for attention, you create connection. Instead of seeking validation, you offer value. Success. In today's world, attention has become one of the most valuable gifts you can give another human being. Everyone is distracted. Everyone is busy. Everyone is multitasking. Success. Because of this, a person who gives someone their complete attention becomes unforgettable. They create an experience that feels rare. They make others feel respected, success appreciated, and understood. And people remember those feelings long after they forget specific conversations. Success. The truth is that being interesting is not what makes people memorable. Making other people feel interesting is what makes people memorable. Success. The individuals who leave the deepest impact are often not the ones who spoke the most. They are the ones who listened the best. Success. They are the ones who made others feel seen when no one else was paying attention, understood when no one else was listening, success, and valued when no one else seemed to care, because genuine listening has the power to create a connection that remains in people's memories long after the conversation itself has ended. Success. One of the biggest reasons people are forgotten is because they spend their entire lives trying to be like everyone else. They follow the crowd, copy popular opinions. Success. Imitate trends and shape their identity around what seems acceptable at the moment. Success. They are so focused on fitting in that they never take the time to discover who they truly are. As a result, they become interchangeable. They blend into the background. Success. Nothing about them stands out because everything about them has been borrowed from somewhere else. Success. But the people who leave a lasting impression on the world are different. They understand that being memorable does not come from fitting in. Success. It comes from having the courage to be yourself in a world that constantly pressures you to become someone else. Think about the individuals you admire most. Success. Whether they are leaders, artists, entrepreneurs, athletes, or influential thinkers, chances are they did not become memorable by copying everyone around them. Success. They became memorable because they developed a unique way of thinking, a unique way of acting, and a unique perspective on life. Success. They were willing to stand apart from the crowd. They were willing to be different even when being different was uncomfortable. Success. This is what gives people a lasting identity. It is not perfection. It is not popularity. It is authenticity combined with consistency. Success. The challenge is that most people fear standing out. They worry about being judged. They worry about criticism. They worry about rejection. Success. Human beings naturally desire acceptance because belonging has always been important for survival. But there is a difference between belonging and losing yourself. Success. Many people become so focused on gaining approval that they abandon their individuality. They stop expressing their real opinions. Success. They stop pursuing their genuine interests. They stop taking risks that might reveal who they truly are. Instead, they choose safety. They choose conformity. Success. And while conformity may reduce criticism, it also reduces memorability. Imagine meeting someone who agrees with everyone, follows every trend. Success. And never expresses an original thought. They may be pleasant to interact with, but they rarely leave a strong impression. Success. Now imagine meeting someone who has a clear sense of purpose, strong values, and the confidence to think independently. Success. They do not follow every trend simply because it is popular. They are not controlled by public opinion. They know what they believe and why they believe it. Success. Even if you do not agree with them completely, you are likely to remember them because individuality naturally captures attention. Success. One of the most powerful aspects of developing a unique identity is that it creates consistency. People remember consistency because it builds trust. Success. When someone constantly changes who they are depending on the environment, others never know what to expect. One day they have one set of values, success, and the next day they have another. Their personality shifts based on who is watching. Their opinions change based on what is popular. Success. This inconsistency makes them difficult to trust and easy to forget. But individuals with a strong identity remain grounded regardless of circumstances. Success. Their principles stay intact. Their character remains stable. Their actions align with their values. Over time, success. This consistency becomes one of the most memorable things about them. A unique identity is not about trying to be different for the sake of being different. Success. It is not about rebellion or seeking attention. In fact, people who constantly try to stand out often become trapped in another form of conformity. Success. They become dependent on being noticed. True individuality is quieter than that. It comes from understanding who you are, what you value, and what you stand for. Success. It comes from making choices that reflect your authentic self rather than the expectations of others. Success. Many people never develop this level of self-awareness because they are too distracted by comparison. Success. They spend their lives measuring themselves against everyone around them. They compare their success, appearance, achievements, relationships, and lifestyles. Success. The more they compare, the more disconnected they become from their own identity. They begin chasing goals that are not truly theirs. Success. They pursue dreams they were told to pursue rather than dreams that genuinely inspire them. In doing so, they lose the very thing that could have made them unforgettable. Success. There is something powerful about a person who knows who they are. They do not need to pretend. They do not need to constantly seek validation. Success. They do not need to copy others because they trust their own path. This confidence creates a presence that people naturally remember. Success. It is the presence of someone who is comfortable in their own skin. Someone who is guided by purpose rather than pressure. Success. Someone who values authenticity more than approval. The truth is that the world does not remember people simply because they fit in. Success. It remembers people because they bring something unique. They offer a perspective, a character, a vision, or an energy that cannot be easily replaced. Success. Every memorable person in history possessed something that separated them from the crowd. They embraced who they were instead of becoming a copy of everyone else. Success. And while they may have faced criticism for being different, they also gained something far more valuable. They became impossible to ignore, impossible to replace. Success. And impossible to forget because they had the courage to build an identity that was truly their own rather than borrowing one from the expectations of others. Success. If you truly want people to never forget you, there is one lesson that stands above all the others. It is a lesson that history has proven again and again. Success. People may admire words for a moment, but they remember actions for a lifetime. Every day, countless promises are made. People talk about their dreams, their goals, success, their intentions, and the person they hope to become. They speak about kindness, loyalty, discipline, courage, and success. But words alone rarely leave a lasting mark. Success. What creates a legacy is action. What creates an unforgettable presence is consistency between what you say and what you do. In the end, success. People do not remember you because of what you promised. They remember you because of what you delivered. Success. Think about the individuals who have had the greatest impact on your life. Chances are their influence was not created by speeches alone. It was created by behavior. Success. Maybe it was a parent who sacrificed their comfort to give you opportunities. Maybe it was a teacher who invested extra time in your growth. Success. Maybe it was a friend who stood by your side during a difficult period. Maybe it was a mentor who believed in you when no one else did. Success. The reason you remember them is not because of the words they spoke. It is because their actions made those words real. Their behavior created evidence of their character. Success. One of the biggest mistakes people make is believing that intention is enough. They think that wanting to do something is the same as doing it. Success. They think that talking about goals is the same as pursuing them. They think that expressing values is the same as living by them. Success. But life does not reward intentions alone. The world responds to action. People trust action. People remember action. Anyone can say they are loyal, success, but loyalty is proven during difficult times. Anyone can claim to be kind, but kindness is revealed through behavior. Anyone can talk about discipline, success, but discipline becomes visible through consistent effort. This is why actions carry so much power. Actions remove uncertainty. Words can be manipulated. Success, promises can be exaggerated. Stories can be adjusted to create a certain image. But actions reveal reality. They show who someone truly is when nobody is watching. Success, they reveal priorities, values, and character. Over time, people learn to trust actions more than words because actions are harder to fake. Success. And when someone consistently backs up their words with behavior, they become unforgettable because integrity is one of the rarest qualities in the world. Success. Consider how many people spend years talking about change without ever changing. They discuss their plans. They describe their ambitions. Success. They tell everyone what they intend to accomplish. Yet months and years pass and little actually happens. Meanwhile, success. There are others who speak very little about their goals. Instead, they quietly work. They improve themselves. They develop skills. They build discipline. Success. They take action day after day, even when nobody is applauding. Eventually, their results speak louder than any speech ever could. Success. Those are the people who create lasting impact because they understand that action is the language of commitment. Success. Another reason actions create unforgettable memories is because they affect people's lives directly. Words can inspire, but actions create experiences. Success. When someone helps you during a difficult moment, you remember it. When someone supports you during failure, you remember it. When someone sacrifices their time, energy, success, or resources to make a positive difference in your life, you remember it. These experiences become part of your story. They become memories attached to real emotions. Success and emotional experiences tend to last far longer than conversations. The same principle applies to the legacy you create in the world. Many people focus on being noticed. Success. They want recognition. They want attention. They want people to talk about them. But truly memorable individuals focus on contribution instead of attention. Success. They ask themselves a different question. Instead of asking, how can I get people to notice me? They ask, how can I make a difference? This shift changes everything. Success, attention fades, influence remains, popularity comes and goes, impact lasts. Success. There is something deeply powerful about a person whose actions consistently align with their values. Success. They do not need to constantly explain who they are because their behavior tells the story. Success. They do not need to convince others of their character because their choices provide the evidence. Their life becomes a message. Their habits become a statement. Success. Their consistency becomes their reputation. Over time, people begin associating them with trust, reliability, strength, kindness, courage, success, or whatever qualities they repeatedly demonstrate through action. Many people want to be remembered, but very few are willing to do what creates remembrance. Success. They focus on appearance instead of substance. They focus on image instead of character. They focus on talking instead of doing. Success. But the individuals who remain in people's minds long after they leave understand a different truth. Success. They know that every action is an opportunity to reinforce who they are. Every choice contributes to their legacy. Success. Every act of integrity strengthens the impression they leave behind. At the end of the day, people will forget many conversations. They will forget countless opinions. Success. They will forget most of the explanations and promises they hear throughout their lives. But they rarely forget the people whose actions changed something within them. Success. Improved something around them, inspired them to become better. Success. Or showed them what true character looks like because actions have a way of speaking directly to the human heart. Success. And the messages that reach the heart often become the memories that last forever. Success. As we come to the end of this speech, I want you to remember one powerful truth. People are not remembered because they desperately tried to be remembered. Success. They are remembered because of the impact they leave on others. Most people spend their lives chasing attention, approval, and recognition. Success. They believe that if enough people notice them, admire them, or praise them, they will become unforgettable. But the reality is very different. Throughout this speech, success, we have discovered that the people who stay in our memories the longest are not always the loudest, the richest, the most famous, or even the most talented. Success. They are the people who leave a lasting emotional impact wherever they go. They are the people who respect themselves instead of constantly seeking validation. Success. They are the people who make others feel valued, understood, and inspired. Success. They are the people who have the courage to be authentic in a world that constantly pressures them to conform. And most importantly, success. They are the people whose actions consistently match their words. Think about your own life for a moment. Think about the people you remember most clearly. Chances are, success, you do not remember them because of their job title, social status, or material success. You remember them because of how they made you feel. Success, you remember the teacher who believed in you when you doubted yourself. You remember the friend who stood beside you during difficult times. Success, you remember the person who inspired you to think bigger, work harder, or become better. Their influence did not come from seeking attention. It came from creating value. Success, it came from their character. It came from the way they showed up in the lives of others. That is the true secret of becoming unforgettable. Success. The question now is not whether people will remember you. The real question is what they will remember about you. Success. Will they remember someone who constantly changed to gain approval, or someone who remained true to their values? Will they remember someone who followed every trend? Success. or someone who had the courage to think independently? Will they remember someone who talked endlessly about dreams and goals, success, or someone who quietly worked every day to bring those dreams to life? Every choice you make contributes to the answer. Every action you take becomes part of your legacy, success. Every interaction becomes an opportunity to leave a positive mark on someone's life, success. The beautiful thing about this lesson is that becoming unforgettable does not require fame, wealth, or extraordinary talent. Success, it does not require millions of followers or worldwide recognition. Anyone can become unforgettable. Success. The opportunity is available to every person listening to these words right now. Success. It begins with respecting yourself enough to stop seeking validation from everyone around you. It continues with creating meaningful emotional connections. Success. Listening deeply, embracing your unique identity, and allowing your actions to speak louder than your words. These are the qualities that leave lasting impressions. Success. These are the qualities that survive long after conversations end and circumstances change. Years from now, people may forget many of the things you said. Success. They may forget details about your achievements. They may forget certain moments and conversations, but they will remember how you treated them. Success. They will remember how you made them feel. They will remember whether your presence brought confidence or doubt, hope or negativity, inspiration or discouragement. Success. Those memories become your true legacy. They become the reason people continue thinking about you long after you have left the room. So from this day forward, success. Stop trying to impress everyone. Stop chasing approval. Stop measuring your worth by the opinions of others. Focus instead on becoming a person of character, authenticity, success, and action. Focus on creating value wherever you go. Focus on leaving people better than you found them, success. Because the most unforgettable people in the world are not those who demanded attention. They are those who made a difference. They are those who lived with purpose, success, acted with integrity, and left a lasting mark on the hearts and minds of the people they encountered. Success. And the journey toward becoming that kind of person begins with the choices you make today.